By the way, while we're on these protests, did you see these people at the Melbourne Cup today? You had these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters decided that they would rock up to Flemington because, of course, you know, what could make more sense than the intersection between one of the greatest horse races on earth and war in the Middle East? Take a look at some of their garbage. Now, there were multiple arrests. Many of them had to be dragged away because they couldn't move them on. You saw there they had a vehicle blocking the road. There's a bus behind it trying to get through. I mean, did they really think that they could rock up to the Melbourne Cup and anyone going to the Melbourne Cup could give two hoots about the crap that they're carrying on with? And again, it's an example of these people targeting an event that you might say is an indicator of the success of the West. I mean, the Melbourne Cup is a cultural event that is so intrinsically linked to the culture of Australia. So is it any wonder that they choose an event like that to go and protest? Because the ultimate goal isn't about war in Gaza. It's about we don't like the West. Here's our Western self-loathing. Here's a celebration that's a big part of celebrating how good is Australia. Well, we better go and protest there too.
And that's the problem we've got in the West, right? When you've literally got everything you could ever want, what meaning or purpose is there in life? And so they've embraced the Palestinian cause, which clearly most of them don't understand because their chants are not only inane, they're self-contradictory, and yet they have some sort of purpose and meaning. But again, like we saw in the London Gallery, where they were able to behave like that without any interruption, these protesters arrived at Flemington at 11 a.m. They weren't cleared from the joint until 1:30 p.m. So for 2.5 hours, this is the most passive I've ever seen the Victorian police. Yes, they arrested 3 or 4 people, but for goodness sake, for what, 2.5 hours they allowed this to go on.
I've got to love this chant that we hear every single day now. Free Palestine. Israel's working on it. They can't possibly work any harder or faster, for crying out loud. But is this what it takes to see some action from the police? So we've seen massive hordes march from Town Hall to the iconic Opera House, chant Gas the Jews. We've seen 10,000 march through Melbourne. Nobody lifted a finger. That's all fine. From the river to the sea. Genocide is great, woohoo, bring it on. Not a single finger moved by the police, but you get in the way.
Don't touch the Melbourne
Cup. People heading to have a few sherbets at the races. We've got 3 arrests. We've employed pepper spray. It's all happening. Really? That is what got you guys to pull your finger out. I can't believe it.
I've got to say, though, 2 points. Clearly, they're not all that bright because they rocked up at 11 o'clock, which was 15 minutes after the first race. So you were a little late on that account. But I've got to give it to them because, you know, they had 100, 200, whatever protesters there, which is way more than the anti-racing protesters ever get. I mean, they get 3 men and a dog if they're lucky at the front of the races. So at least they've got more people than they can fit in a Tarago. I mean, they would have completely outweighed those nut-to-the-cup nuffies who would have rocked up there today to protest. At least they got that going for them.
I really like the young girl with the really short skirt standing on top of the van with the flare going like this. Could you imagine if she was at the Nova Music Festival? She would have been one of the first ones that they would have grabbed and taken hostage.
Quite right.